Hey pilots, DrainMan here. Today I have a very special video. Today I have this brand new, fresh, hot off the press F4 F55 Pro 2 by T-Motor. And you already know that T-Motor makes very, very high quality products. So I'm super stoked to open this up. I want to go over it with you guys, see what it's got, see if it's worth the money, and just do an overall overview. Alright pilots, let's go ahead and crack this baby open. She comes all wrapped up. Who's excited? I'm excited. Now, I do want to point out the fact that this is a big, hefty box. I mean, this thing is big. This is a big box. You don't have to worry about your flight controller showing up broken or your stack cracked or anything like that. I mean, this thing is rock solid. That's definitely the wrong side. There we go. Who's ready? No peeking. No peeking. Oh! And as you know, we get a couple stickers, the same old T-Motor stickers, the ones that we get with every single freaking motor, which I love. I do love these things. I stick them everywhere. And then we even get the Chinese ones, which I have no idea what they mean, but they look really cool. They're like some ninja stuff. Wow! That is gorgeous. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at that heat sink right there, keeping all the components nice and safe. And I'm going to go ahead and point out, I think that's an LED. It sure is. That's an RGB right there. Man, that is nice. You can just see the quality, guys. Alright, so I do want to point out the fact that our ESC is not on our stack yet. So I'm not sure what kind of stack we have that's not coming as a stack. It better be easy to put together. Man, look at this. This is like good stuff right here. Even the packaging is nice. Alright, so I'm seeing here that we have a mounting board, or you can use this to put it in line with your stack and then mount on top of if you want to. If not, they're just nice to have because they look cool. Alright, there you go. There's that flight controller. It's the matte black. Ooh, that's gorgeous. It's got the yellow grommets. I like that. I like when companies use their own color grommets or their own color PCB to kind of say, hey, this is the color that we do ours in. So this is absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to go over it. We're going to set it to the side for now. And let's see what else we got in here. So I'm seeing four screws right there. Can you see that? Look at that. 4 screws. That better be our mounting screws. Oh, they screwed it together. Let me get you guys in here. Look at this. They screwed together the actual stack. Like, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to unscrew these? Is that what's happening here? Alright, I guess I got to unscrew the foam. Let's see. I am unscrewing the foam right now. Wow, that's a long one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and venture to say that that is going to be our 4 stack screws. They literally screwed the foam together. That's pretty cool. And you saw, I wasn't messing around. I really did try to open it. Alright, so I'm noticing right away that we have our XT60 ready to go. It is 12 gauge. That means we can run tons and tons of voltage through this. It appears that it's a little bit long too. This is a little bit longer than I would normally run. So I like that. That's a good thing. We're going to call that a plus because I can cut it where I need it. Or you can cut it where you need it. I would have liked to have seen a black one, or at least if you're going to do yellow, go ahead and match the yellows up a little bit better. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Who's real serious about matching their quad? Like if my flight controller is going to have yellow grommets, then I need yellow LEDs, and I need a yellow antenna, and I need yellow motors, and I want yellow props on top to finish off the look. Who else is like that? Because I'm like that. I like my stuff looking good. Alright, so we've got 2. We've got a spare and a not spare. Let's see this. We've got a capacitor. Man, it's in there tight. What do we got here? So we have a, okay, so it's a typical 35 volt, 470 microfarad capacitor. If you're going to have a capacitor, and especially if it's going to be free and it's a Rubicon, that's a good thing. Not going to complain about that. Alright, let's see what comes in this little bag here, because this is the last thing we haven't looked at that comes in the packaging. Alright, so we've got double-sided tape. I am not sure what these are yet. We're going to go over those. We're going to figure out what those are. We're going to go over them together. We've got some lock nuts. You can tell because they have the plastic inside, so when you lock them down, they don't unspin. We've got spacers, and what else do we have in there? And that's about it. So those are your accessories you're going to need to put your stack together. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual components now. I do like this. This is going to be my new, brand new, this is going to be our mat that we are going to do our reviews on. For now on, when we're doing a review and we're checking out a component, it's going on here. Look. That's perfect. Alright, so here we are. We're nice and tight. We're inside. We're taking a look. I'm noticing that this thing is gorgeous. It's a 6S 4-in-1. It is a 32-bit. So that means that when you're programming this ESC, you're going to use BL Heli 32. And I'm going to do a quick walkthrough with you guys just to take a peek at it. These are really nice pads. They're separated nicely. Taking a look back here, let's see what we got. So what I'm noticing right away is we have current sensing. It looks like these are N-channel MOSFETs. They look like healthy MOSFETs. They look really nice. Tons of capacitors. In my opinion, I think that this is going to be a very clean ESC. We've got our motor layout. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means that this guy is going to be laid in the build like this. What that is basing off of is this, because what you're saying to yourself, or you might be, you might not be, but if you're saying to yourself, you're saying, well, why does one have to be here? Why can't one be here and 2 and 3 and 4, like whatever? Why can't I put it where I want to put it? Well, the reason why you can't do that is because when you plug in this connector and you bring it up and you connect it to your flight controller, that's where it's telling it that it's going to be. And that's not a big deal. If you guys know how to change that, you're good to go. If you don't know how to change that, I'm going to link the video down in the video description on how to go ahead and change those around. So if you want to mount this sucker like this, and you want your dang freaking power lead, your XT60 coming out the side, you can do that if you want to, and then you can use my video to go ahead and get these repositioned, because if you don't do that, your quad is going to freak out on takeoff. Alright, one thing I want to talk about, guys, this stack is no joke. This is not a $50 stack or a $60 stack. This is not an $80 stack. No, it's not even a $100 stack, guys. This stack is $110. So when it comes to the ESC, there's nothing really to know. The only thing you need to know is you're going to plug this in, and that's it. That's all you got to do with your ESC. Solder up your motor wires, solder up your XT60 right here, and you're done. There's nothing else you need to know. You do have your negative and your minus here for when you're soldering these up. Do not screw up your polarity, and that's going to take care of your ESC. So let's go ahead and take a look at the flight controller. Alright, pilots, so let's go ahead and dive right into this flight controller. I want to go ahead and check this puppy out. First thing I want to do is take note of the arrow. This arrow is very important, and the reason why is you don't have to worry about motor remapping because you're dealing with a 4-in-1. So as long as your 4-in-1 is placed correctly, your signal wires that come from here are going to tell which one where it is. So you don't have to worry about that, but if you spin this flight controller, you are going to have to tell Betaflight which orientation you're in. I want to point out something really cool that I like right here is these 2 tantalum capacitors. I mean, that's super nice that they stuck those right there, and I'm going to say it's not coincidence that it's in between the VTX and the camera. So that means we're going to get great video with these. Alright, let's take note of the onboard memory flash. Alright, so let's go over our pinout real quick, guys. So the first thing to take note of is your camera, because that's very important. I like how they put the camera in the front. That's definitely sweet. Now they also put the VTX in the front. I don't know if I like that. I'd like to have my VTX in the front, my VTX in the back and my camera in the front. But we're going to roll with it. They kept it all in a nice spot. And then they threw in these tantalum capacitors. So that's going to clean everything up right here. So it might not be a bad thing. You do have jumper pads, so if you are connecting a camera that can handle high voltage and you want to give it that, that's fine, but you're going to jump these 2 pads. You're not going to get any voltage unless you do that, so you'll need to put a blob of solder between here and here. And now, if you don't want full voltage and you want to use the 5-volt back, then you're going to go ahead and put a piece of solder right here. That'll be just fine if you want to do that. For your VTX, you actually have the exact same option. But for your camera wiring, you've got your ground, you've got your positive, which is based off your jumper pads, you've got your video, and then you've got your camera control if you like that. You've also got your video on this side. You've got your TX2. That's going to be your smart audio. Me, I cannot live without smart audio. I will link a video down the video description on how to set that up if you've never done that. Here's your plus. Your plus is going to rock and roll off of this. And then you've got your ground. So that handles your camera and your VTX. For your pads, you've got your ground. You've got a 5 volt right here. You then have your SDA, your SCL. The idea is that this board right here runs Betaflight, and Betaflight does not support a compass. So I don't know what you do with it, but maybe they use it for something else. So we're going to go ahead and just say those 2 pads there are for your compass. If you got a compass, that's great. I don't really know how you'd use it because this is a Betaflight board and Betaflight does not support a compass. But feel free to solder that up if you'd like to. And then next to that, you have a whole UART. You've got RX4 and TX4. That's going to be the UART that you'd want to use for that. I'm seeing an E5 and E6. I'm going to have to go ahead and assume that that's motor 5, motor 6 if you want to run a hexacopter. You've got your onboard memory flash right here. Now, if you'll... Ooh, I poked and grabbed. Now, I want you guys to take note of this. See this little open spot right here? That is actually where your barometer goes. So you can go ahead and get onto one of these Chinese websites and order it from overseas, or you can even do something like DigiKey or whatever, and you can order yourself a barometer. You slap it on, heat it up, and you're good to go. This board also has support for an MPU 6000 gyro. We just don't have it. They held out on us on that one. They didn't give you that. But you do have a 32K right here. That's up to you if you want to pull this and run this one or get in the CLI and run them both. We're going to jump over to this side now. Here we go. So we've got our receiver section. You do have a UART. So you have TX3 and you have RX3. That's what you're going to want to use if you're trying to run a Crossfire. You're either going to use UART 3 or you're going to use UART 5. That's totally up to you. If you're running PPM, feel free to go ahead and use the PPM. Me, I'm going to leave that one open because I have never run PPM. Next to that is our TE pad. I'm going to go ahead and say that's short for telemetry. This is your S port. So if you got an RXSR FR Sky receiver and you want to go ahead and get yourself some S port, which I can't live without, I would go ahead and connect that right here. Next to that is your 3.3 if you want to do some testing on your microcontroller, or if you've got Spectrum, whatever you've got. Let's just go over it real quick. If you're running a Crossfire and you want to know how to connect it, because I can just tell you what all the pads are, but that doesn't tell you or help you if you're trying to figure out how to connect this thing. So if you don't know how to connect it, I'm going to tell you real quick. You're going to solder your RX from your Crossfire to your TX on here. Then you're going to solder your TX to your RX, and they've got to match the number. So if you're running 3, run 3, or if you're running 5, run 5, but do not run your R3 and your T5. It's just not going to work that way. And then if you've got an RXSR, you've got your different wires. You've got your black for ground, you've got your red for 5 volt, and then you've got your S port. That wire is usually yellow, and then you have a green wire. That is your S bus wire. That wire you are going to put right here on R5, and then when you jump into Betaflight, you will be sure to indicate that you are on UART 5. That's going to go ahead and do it for the main pinout on your board. We want to go over the last little bit, which is down here, and this is the buzzer LED section. Let me go ahead and point out one thing that I've noticed on this board, and a lot of boards do it. A lot of boards do this, but they do not follow the same schedule. So what that means is you've got a round pad and a square pad. They've decided to make all the grounds, or at least most of, to me it's looking like all of them. They've made them all square and made the rest round. So if you're going for a ground, you know you're going to be on a square pad. Ground, ground. You see, it's just something to go off of square right there. That's a ground. So it's just something cool that you can use to know whether or not you hit the mark when you're going for a ground pad. So here I am with an LED and a buzzer all in the same spot, and they are doing what? They are sharing this 5 volt pad. Maybe they just did it to save space, and neither one of them pulls a lot of amperage. I mean, so what does it really matter? But I just wanted to point it out. Alright, so you're flying this board and you go ahead and you rip off your connectors. Plow, this thing came ripped off. Well, guess what? you're in luck because they went ahead and laid it all out on the bottom for you. And if you want to mount this board upside down, you can feel free to go ahead and do that. They went ahead and labeled both sides of the board. Here's your Betaflight OSD. Here's your F4 microcontroller. It is definitely an F405. It's a nice microcontroller. I love this. Never lets me down. Alright guys, so there goes your flight controller. We went ahead and went over that. I really do like that. I want to see that with voltage. Is that going to light up for us? Let's see what you got. Oh, dope. What do we got? Red? Red only? Maybe it changes to green if it's happy. I am going to tell you one thing. I bet you if we go into BL Heli, we might be able to program that. They give you an RGB right in the dead center of your heatsink. Alright, pilot, so let's go ahead and do something. Now, assuming that you're mounting from up under your frame. You went through the bottom of your frame and you're coming up. You're going to go ahead and put this like this. So here's what they've done. They've given you some spacers. They've given you plenty long enough screw. You also have this. Don't forget, this is a fantastic mounting solution. And then you've got these little clips here that actually come with double-sided sticky tape. I'm really not sure. These might come on to hold this and hold something down or whatnot. These seem like they're going to be very, very useful if I can figure out what to use them for. Can you please jump down in the comments and let me know what the heck these are? This is some type of clip. I'd imagine it's going to clip something together. Do not forget to run your capacitor. You always want your capacitor on. This gives you, this cleans up your video. I don't know if you're going to be running 6S, but with a 55 amp ESC, I would imagine you probably are. Okay, pilots, that's going to conclude it for going over the board. The last thing I want to touch on is we talked about the receiver part, and if you soldered up to UART5, make sure that you check right here in the ports tab that you used UART5. So if you use TX5 and RX5, that's where you're going to check. But if you use 3, go ahead and you check right here UART3. But do not check both. You cannot have both checked at any given time. It's got to be either one or the other. One other thing, I did notice that the firmware is a little bit old on this board. I'm not sure which batch you got, but if your firmware is a little bit old like this, feel free to go down to the video description, pull out the video I have on how to flash a flight controller, flash that board, get it up to the latest firmware. I hope you guys have a blast with your new T-Motor board. I know I'm stoked to give her a shot, and I'll see you guys on the next one.